So Pam Bondi held a press conference with Kash Patel and Todd Blanche, and I'm telling you what, it looked like three people in the middle of a hostage situation. It looked like something you would see on a movie. I have never seen three people look more deer in headlights as they now try to figure out how in the world they're going to play off this one. And, you know, I'm very glad to see that the Epstein Files Transparency Act, I'm so glad to see that it passed through the House and the Senate. But now it's sitting on Donald Trump's desk, and when he signs it, they're going to have 30 days to release it. And from the looks of it, folks, I just don't have a whole lot of high hopes on this one. I want to have high hopes. I want to be optimistic. I don't want to bring down the room. But, man, it's really hard when you sit here and you watch these clips. And I just don't see the same level of enthusiasm on Kash Patel's face that he used to have on it back when he was on the podcast talking about how the FBI had the files and they could all release the files and they could bring down the deep state and everyone knew all the answers. Now he's just standing there looking like, what did I do with my life? It reminds me of an old comedic skit. I can't share it for copyright reasons on YouTube, but the comedian Bill Hicks used to do a skit where he talked about the presidents getting elected. And he said, once they're elected, he said, I have a theory that once they're elected, they get took in this dark room with just a few billionaires that put them there. And all of a sudden they see a screen appear in front of their face. And it's an angle of the Kennedy assassination that's not the Zapruder film. It's from a completely different angle. And they sit there and they watch it. And then the lights comes on and the billionaires look at them and says, any questions? It's like, nope, what's my agenda? And that's pretty much what I feel it's like for Kash Patel. I just feel like he was like, oh, boy, I can't wait to get in there. And he got in there and he looked and was like, oh, so how are we going to spin this? At least that's how it comes off as they sit here and are just complete deer in headlights. But it's interesting to me how now Pam Bondi says there's new information has came up. Take a look.
You know, the DOJ statement earlier this year saying that the files would not release mentioned the fact that the review of the documents and the evidence did not suggest that any additional investigation of third parties was warranted. What changed since then that you launched this investigation?
Information that has come for information. There's information that new information, additional information, and again, we will continue to follow the law, to investigate any leads. If there are any victims, we encourage all victims to come forward, and we will continue to provide maximum transparency under the law.
There is no such thing as maximum transparency when it comes to Donald Trump and this radical right regime. And it's so crazy to me that she says there's new information now. No, I don't believe for a second that there's new information. I believe the new information is, holy shit, these people actually care about this. Holy shit, this wasn't just a campaign strategy. They really want me to release this. Uh-oh. I think that's why Donald Trump started walking it back. If you remember when he was on the campaign trail and he went on Fox News and they asked him about the JFK files, asked him about 9/11, and he said yes real quick to both of those. And then with the Epstein one, he started pumping the brakes all the way back then because I think he knew this ain't going to be good for me. And now sitting here watching Pam Bondi put this spin on it is absolutely ridiculous that there's new information because it's a pending investigation. It's such BS.
The issue with the new information that you just indicated, is the department seeking information perhaps from the Epstein estate because Mr. Blanche did not have that information when he interviewed Ghislaine Maxwell? What new information, and would you limit the new investigation to just those named persons that the president talked about, or is this a broad, open-ended investigation?
I would refer to the Deputy Attorney General's post that he put out on X, and we're not going to say anything else on that because now it is a pending investigation in the Southern District of New York. But you're on point.
And that's exactly why that Donald Trump came out and said, hey, we got to investigate these Democrats. That's exactly why. So she can stand up there now and say, well, I can't talk about that because that's pending investigation. Folks, there has never been a more blatant cover-up and people going to bat for pedophiles more so than's right in front of our face. I know I say this a lot, but it's just like you're watching a TV show. When you sit there and watch it, it doesn't feel like that you should be watching the news, that this shouldn't be the real world. It feels like you should be watching like a Better Call Saul or a Sons of Anarchy episode because it's that crazy. And Kash Patel, to me, just looks like his soul left his body. He just looks like a dude that is totally defeated. And if any of them had 1 ounce of a backbone to just stand up and be the one, do you realize what a hero they could be in the story if they would just scream out loud one time? You know, I mean, I hate to compare it to this, but I used to watch those documentaries all the time of, Jonestown and different places, and they would show, Jim Jones standing there spewing his bullshit. And behind him, he would have these big muscular bodyguards. And I used to say to myself, man, if just one of those guys had had a backbone, if just one of them had had the courage, then they could have stopped that whole massacre from even happening. And that's how I feel when I look at the Trump administration. It's like, you know what? Could just one of you have some courage? Just one of you want to play the hero in the story here? But no, they're going to go out there and they're going to spin this way, and we're going to be sitting here for a long time waiting on this to be released. I have no faith. And I'm not trying to bring down the room, but I just don't have no faith in these three, and here is another reason why.
Madam Attorney General, do you mean that you will provide all the files by 30 days?
We will follow the law. The law passed both chambers last evening. It has not yet been signed, but we will continue to follow the law, again, while protecting victims, but also providing maximum transparency.
Madam Attorney General, the DOJ statement earlier this year saying that the files would not release mentioned the fact that the review of the documents and the evidence did not suggest that any additional investigation of third parties was warranted. What changed since then that you launched this investigation?
Information that has come for information.
And again, that's just why I have no faith in the Department of Justice at all. When she says we're going to follow the law, I interpret that to mean we're going to stall this thing. That's just how it comes out to me. It's really hard for me to look at that and have any optimism when you see 3 people up there just completely selling their souls for Donald Trump. And it's really sad to me because I know when it went through the House the way that it did, and then when it went through the Senate, I know that gave a whole lot of people hope. And I don't want to rain on that parade. I really hope that we see all of this come out, but we're not going to be able to just see part of it come out. We're not going to be able to see just a little bit come out. And that's not going to satisfy anyone. It's got to be all or nothing. And I don't think we're going to get all or nothing out of Donald Trump. I think they will figure out how to stall this one. They'll figure out how to spin this one and play this one to their advantage. And again, they're playing politics with this one just to try to get a win. And those 3 are going to bat for a criminal. And you could see it right in their faces. You could just see right in their faces. It plays out like a movie. I would just love to be a fly on the wall when they walk off stage. I'll just say that. I would love to be a fly on the wall when they're at home. I would be willing to bet that Kash Patel has had some moments. You want to talk about the ketchup flying at Mar-a-Lago. Can you imagine Kash Patel after thinking that everything was one way and then he sees what's in front of him? Yeah, that poor old dude ain't never going to be the same. But once this is all over, Trump may have immunity. And Trump may ride off and he may come out of this whole thing unscathed. But there's 3 people who are going to have to give an account for it. And I hope we see them brought to justice for backing one of the biggest criminals in modern history or of all time.